Are you looking for the best 2024 NFL bets around? Then get ready for the NFL's Week 3 IDP Plus Moneyline podcast. Welcome back to the IDP Plus Moneyline podcast. My name is Johnny the Greek. I am joined, as is tradition, with my good friend and co-host, Mr. Gary Van Dyke, the IDP tipster himself. Gary, how are you, sir?
What's happening, big winner, man? You still keeping it up here, man. Everybody's I love it. I love it. You're killing these game lines, man. I'm just excited for the people.
Yeah, great week last week. 100% correct on the article. 3 for 3. I myself cleared like $250 parlay round robining those three. So very happy with that. 7 and 4 overall last week. So very, very good week. We are looking good.
Oh yeah, I'm not so hot right now, but that's all right. Last year started out hot and then tapered off towards the end. So got to roll with the punches. But I got a couple of them for you today.
Yeah, we'll get there, man. Yep, we're still, getting real data and adjusting to this new season, so it'll get easier a little bit each week. Before we get into things, just a quick reminder, these are not even suggestions. We are literally just discussing the bets that we may be making personally. Set a limit and stick to it. For help with problem gambling, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's get into it. You ready for week 3, Mr. Tipster?
Yeah, man. I'm also roll with that Browns Giants game, right?
Yes, sir. We're gonna start. We're obviously skipping the Thursday night game. It just kicked off, so no need to talk about that. So we'll start with Sunday.
I did have a bet in here, man, but it's not like I can share it right now. But we had Quinn Williams for getting a sack tonight. I think it was like plus 105 or something.
Right.
But it's pointless now.
Yeah, keep that in your back pocket for when we invent time travel. Absolutely. Yep. All right, we're gonna start with Sunday. 1 p.m. Giants at Browns. So the Giants are getting 6.5 points at -108. Browns are giving 6.5, favored at -112. The over/under is 38.5 points at -112 either way. Money line is Giants plus 235, Browns -290. So Vegas is pretty sure Browns are going to win. I agree. What I want to do, though, is use an alt line. I want to go Browns alt line -2.5. That makes the price a little bit better at -265 and removes some of the risk from the spread of a whole touchdown the Browns would have to win by, which I don't know if that's possible. They don't look that great either. So the Giants right now have the 25th overall offense. They are 31st in the league for points per game, so they are not doing well on offense. They're facing a Browns defense that is 12th overall and loaded with defensive playmakers. Myles Garrett did not practice today, but we've seen that movie before. Even if he's limited tomorrow, he'll probably end up playing. And even without him, this team should be able to hold down a legitimately terrible Giants team and win this game. So that's my call, -2.5 alt line Browns. What do you got on this one?
Oh yeah, I'll take Myles Garrett. I haven't made this bet. I gotta remind everybody when I go grabbing these things, and I actually got my article out for these 3 bets that we're covering, including Williams. That there was only 3-4 games to even pick from. So there wasn't even any. Oh no, wait a minute. They had a couple additional games, but didn't have the time to research them wholeheartedly. So I'm not going to add them tonight. But I just wanted to mention that basically what I'm going to do now is just point you in the right direction. And Myles Garrett, hurt or not hurt, is still going to be a great option when it comes to the Giants. If he's playing, you got to give the guy his kudos. He's played hurt before. It's more than likely nothing. I would say if they're going to insert him, he's going to probably get a sack, especially against the Giants that are just top at allowing production off the edge. So Garrett's merits alone warrants getting a look at what the odds are on his bets. And then I would check out the Browns inside linebackers tackle props too and see what they look like. I can't say for sure that I feel like I would lean on anything on the Giants side in this matchup.
Yep, and a good point there. A lot of the IDP props don't come out till Friday late, so we are limited with options early in the week. But what you're doing is perfect. We're evaluating the matchup, looking for value within the matchup, and pointing you towards the bets that you should make when they do become available. Absolutely.
Yeah. At that point, it's really up to you if you want the big payouts, plus payouts, or your range there.
Yep. Yes, sir. All righty. So that takes us to second game, 1 p.m. window, Broncos at Buccaneers. Broncos are getting 6.5 points at -108. Buccaneers are giving 6.5 points at -112. Over under of 41 points at -108 either way. Money line is Broncos plus 230. Buccaneers -285. So Vegas is pretty sure Tampa Bay is going to win. I agree. It's a terrible price at -285, but I want the Bucs money line. You can parlay round robin this with other, I'm just going to read my note here, with other shitty prices to improve the payout. I'm fairly certain that Tampa Bay is going to win this game. But however, Denver does not want to go 0-3. None of these teams that are in a situation where they can go 0-3 this week are going to go easily, if you know what I'm saying, right? It's not going to be easy. Not to mention, we've seen any given Sunday a couple times this year. Cincinnati in week 1, Ravens in week 2 against Vegas. So anything could happen any Sunday. On paper, though, the Bucs should win this game. With the real issue being Bo Nix. He's got a 35.7 QBR and a 50 passer rating. Both of those are horrendous. He has not thrown a touchdown pass yet. He's been picked off 4 times in 2 games. The Bucs defense isn't great, but Bo Nix really isn't great. And Tampa Bay is currently the 4th overall team in the league for points per game, and they're at home. So that's about as straightforward as it gets. Give me the Bucs money line.
When it comes to the Bucs, I would probably target Jordan, Whitehead, Winfield if he's in. No, Winfield's out, Andy. But the secondary safeties is the ones that I would check out for the Bucs when the Denver is allowing like top 3 in production to the safeties. When it comes to the Broncos side of the ball, it would be interesting to see what I think it's Cooper, their edge rusher for the Broncos, what it would be plus side money for getting a sack on Mayfield, who's been sacked 6 times already this season. Even though they don't allow a huge amount of production, I think they're ranked in the middle of the pack overall. There's still 6 sacks on Mayfield in 2 games. So Cooper is really turned it on. I think he missed the mark last week, but he hit one first week. So he's an outstanding guy to check out and see what kind of money you could make on it.
Yep, I'm with you on that. And I do think this is going to be a closer game that the Bucs win in the end. Yeah, I mean, if you go 0-3 in the modern NFL, stick a fork in you, you're done. You're not making the playoffs. Your season's over. Statistically, that's what we've seen in the last decade or so. If you start 0-3, you're toast. So a lot of these teams that are in this situation this week are going to be fighting, tooth and nail for that not to happen to them.
Yeah. This is now when the articles start coming out why you're working towards next year.
Exactly. Yep. Yes, sir. All righty. Good stuff there. That takes us to Chargers at Steelers, another 1:00 game. Chargers are actually getting 1.5 points at -112. Steelers are favored by 1.5 at -108. Over under of 36, which suggests a defensive struggle and a stinker at -108 either way. Money line is Chargers plus 100, Steelers -120. I don't know how this game's going to go. I would lean Chargers money line, but I do not want to, put my reputation on it. So instead, let's pivot to something that's more likely to happen, which is under 40.5 points using an alt line. That's -245. Not a great price, but once again, parlay round robin it, you'll be fine. So the Steelers have not cracked 20 points yet this season. They have not scored more than 20 points this entire season. And this Chargers defense held the Panthers to 3 points in week 2 and the Raiders to 10 points in week 1. We already know how good the Pittsburgh defense is, but this Chargers defense, plus the inability of Pittsburgh to score points, makes the under look very appealing here. 36 points is not a lot though, right? So instead of trusting the over-under line from Vegas, we're going to tweak it a little bit, use an alt line, give ourselves another 4 points here as a buffer or a safety cushion. And I think we've got a much better chance of this game being under 40.5 points. with a slightly crappier price. So that's what I'm going with. What do you got for this one?
If I'm looking at anything, it's probably Fitzpatrick or the safeties for the Steelers when the Chargers are allowing top 5 production to the position. And, of course, probably get a glimpse at Khalil Mack, see what his payout would be. I doubt it's very great because, very high, but it might be something like this that you could put into a parlay pick. That's the nice thing. If you are going to dip into the 150s and stuff like that, parlay those with those studs, because that's probably the best way to make any real cash off of that. But I could see Mac with a top 10 matchup getting in the backfield and getting them a sack.
Yep, that's always a good bet. I mean, he averaged like 1 a game last year, so yeah, that's always likely. Yep.
Yeah, who knew, man? I mean, considering how it first started out with the Chargers, Bosa got hurt, and then he still kind of struggled. Mac did his first year or two, but yeah, man, he talk about a bounce back season at 36 or whatever he is, and he's up there. I'm pretty sure he's in his 30s.
Yep. Oh yeah. Alrighty, that takes us to Texans at Vikings, another 1 o'clock game. So this is essentially a pick 'em. Texans are -2 at -112. Vikings are +2 at -108. And this is at Minnesota. So you get 3 points automatically as the home team. So this is really like a -1 game, which is Vegas's way of telling us they have no goddamn idea who's going to win this game. And I don't either, quite frankly. The over-under is 46 points at -112 either way. If you went money line, it's Texans -135, Vikings +114. I'm not touching this one with a 10-foot stick or pole or whatever, especially because we don't know if Jordan Addison or Justin Jefferson are playing. If both of them cannot go, then I'd probably bet Texans money line. If one can go but not the other, I'm not touching it. And right now, with us not knowing, I'm not touching it. So instead, I would pivot to Vikings corners. Might be good for overs on their combined tackle props this week. Stephon Gilmore and Byron Murphy are in a literally perfect setup against one of the finest passing attacks in the league, led by C.J. Stroud, just loaded with offensive studs all over the place. And Mixon is beat up this week, so they may have to rely on the pass game a little bit more. It's an indoor game. It's got a high over-under. It's 2 great passing offenses. This is about the best setup you can possibly get for cornerback production. And Stephon Gilmore and Byron Murphy are 2 of the best cornerback options for production in the league. So that's where I would go with this.
Yeah, it looked like Houston's Daniel Hunter finally warmed up last week. So he's just a good option he's a stud option to begin with. But the reason I'd like to look at his numbers this week is because he's had a little bit of a slow start. So Vegas might be behind a little bit, and there might actually be a little bit of a plus side bet lingering around for him this week. So I would take that bet just on his own merit alone. So, and then, I got a roll. I think there's going to be a lot of tackle opportunities for the normal guys in Minnesota. So I'd look across the board. I wouldn't be shy at looking at Cashman's and looking at Metellus' tackle props and see what you got.
Exactly, right. Just by looking at the spread and the over-under here and knowing the makeup of these 2 offenses, it's an indoor game. We're getting extra points per game out of that. We're getting extra passing offense out of that. This is an ideal setup for a shootout. That's exactly what this is. And when we get a shootout on offense, we get a ton more IDP production. You cannot have IDP production if the opposing offense keeps going 3 and out, right? So that is not what we have here. We have 2 excellent offenses that should go back and forth all day. That's going to lead to a shitload of tackles and pass defense and splash plays and all kinds of good stuff. It's going to be a beautiful thing.
Quick disclaimer, make sure you're checking your own injury reports before you make these bets. That's not my job. Anyhow, let's go with probably anybody in the same secondary. It's a top 5 secondary option at the moment versus the Eagles. So kind of look at your normal players. I'm not a big cornerback guy. No Lattimore's there. I would avoid Howden. I think he was a popular safety like last week, but I believe his snap counts fell along with his production this past week. So anyways, take a look at that secondary, see what those numbers look like. And then if I was going to target anybody really out of this, probably be Zach Bond inside linebacker for the Eagles in this matchup. It's like top 5 again for inside linebackers. I know he doesn't quite probably play the inside linebacker position fully, but the guy's been tearing it up. And what a surprise, right? And it happens to be against his former team.
Yep. Yeah. So that is for Eagles at Saints. Eagles are getting 2.5 at -102. Saints are giving 2.5 at -118. High over under here as well. 49.5 points at -110 either way. Money line is Eagles plus 124, Saints minus 148. Another very similar setup to what we just talked about with Texans and Vikings. Vegas doesn't know who's going to win this game. I don't know who's going to win this game, but we should have quite a bit of offensive production and therefore IDP production. I'm going to go no bet on this one. We have not seen a complete game from New Orleans yet. They have just blown away the 2 teams they faced this year. So, we've seen starters resting. We saw 16 total passing attempts out of Derek Carr last week because that game was over so early. So I don't have a good read on this yet. So much like Gary said right there, I want to go Eagles, inside linebackers, Bond or Nakobe Dean might be pretty solid against this Saints rushing attack that's averaging 185 yards per game and 4.9 yards per carry. Shit, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So I would imagine there's going to be quite a few rushing attempts, and that's always good for inside linebackers on the other side.
And some might be surprised I'm not picking on my dude Carl Granderson for a sack or something. I do expect a lot of production out of him, but it just didn't jive for me on the papers. So, I didn't have a suggestion for him to get a sack in this one. And that's kind of weird because Philadelphia has been a top team for last year or two, even though they have a great offensive line most of the time. It's just how they play the game, and Hurts runs the ball.
Yeah, he's hard to catch, man. He is hard to catch. Yeah, no doubt. All right, good stuff there. That takes us to Packers at Titans, another 1:00 game. So as it stands right now, and this is important, right now it's Packers plus 2.5 points at -108, Titans minus 2.5 at -112, over under 38 points at -110 either way. Money line right now, the Packers are plus money at plus 114. Titans are minus 135. And here's the deal with this. I'm taking the Packers in a money line upset at plus money. Jordan Love has practiced the last 2 days in a row. This line we're looking at right here assumes that it's not Jordan Love and that it is Malik Willis. If Jordan Love is able to play, this thing's going to flip and the Packers are going to be favored instead of getting points. So if you make this bet now and get plus money on it, and then Jordan Love ends up being active and plays, you'll have value out of it. And even if he can't play, the Packers are rushing for 212 yards per game. That is a real statistic. And Will Levi only has 2 touchdown passes on the year with 3 interceptions and 7 sacks through 2 games. He's got a 35 QBR and a 67.3 passer rating. None of that is good. This Green Bay defense just shut down a very similar team with the Indianapolis Colts. And even if they have to dial it back with Malik Willis, they can still win this game at plus money. Plus, it's a revenge game for Malik Willis. I don't know if anyone believes in that stuff, but I do. But what I think happens is we've got a good shot that Jordan Love plays, and we can bet this line now at plus money before it becomes minus money in a couple days when he's active for the game. So that's what I'm thinking. What do you got for this one?
Oh, well, I mean, you just pitched it right down the edge, so you make my job easy. Hey, go check out Rashawn Gary for the Packers sack props. See what those look like. We've seen Tennessee. We've seen Levis' style of play. And then on the opposite side of the ball, I mean, Kenneth Murray tackle props. He should be a busy dude. One way or the other, you mentioned the 220 yards. Like I said, you're doing my job for me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, you know what blew my mind on this? I was looking at rushing offense for this, and a lot of people drafted Kyron Williams. He's going to be like a top 5 fantasy running back. The Rams as a team have 136 rushing yards through 2 games. The Packers have 424. That's absolutely batshit insane. They are running the ball so effectively right now that I could give a shit if Jordan Love plays. Malik Willis literally just has to turn and hand the ball off, and they should win this game.
Yeah. Sounds like a winner, brother.
Yeah, I hope so. Probably take some shit if it's not, but whatever.
Shit happen.
Yeah, that's why we have the disclaimers. All right, before we get into the next one, start your season with a bang. Get 20% off any IDP Plus subscription site-wide using the promo code PROPS, PROPS. Gain access to exclusive tools, in-depth IDP articles, and much more. Plus, don't miss out on our private subscriber Discord. Sign up now at idpplus.com/membership. All righty. Next one we've got is Bears at Colts, also a 1:00 game. As it stands right now, Bears are getting 1.5 at -108. Colts are giving 1.5 at -112. Over under of 43.5 points at -108 either way. Money line is Bears plus 105, Colts minus 125. I don't want to touch this one. No bet. However, the Chicago Bears inside linebackers probably have a decent shot to beat out their tackle props as long as they're not like ridiculously high. Because Indianapolis as a team right now is one-dimensional. Period. End of story. Anthony Richardson only has 27 completions between 2 entire games of football. They do not pass the ball at all. And we know that Anthony Richardson loves to run, and we know Jonathan Taylor is going to get his carries. So I think that's probably a pretty good move. But what do you think for this one?
Man, I love this dude for the Bears. Defensive tackle Gervon Dexter. He's only in his second year. He's actually he was a good fantasy play the last couple of weeks too. I doubt very much anybody had him the first week, but the second week I did suggest him, had him in one of my deeper ones, and behold, he got a sack last week, and the matchup was right. There was one I wish I would have put in my parlay, but it was like, this guy's just came on the scene, so I wanted to see a little more. I got a little bit more confidence in him, so I'm going to suggest that you go check out his sack props. I don't have any problem thinking that he's going to get a sack against the Colts, who are current top 8. And this matchup on paper is actually better than the Texans and Titans in the 2 previous weeks, where Dexter, I believe, got a sack in both games. So
interesting you mentioned that. I was looking at defensive tackles today with Buckner on IR, Zach Sealer sucking ass, and other issues, right? And Gervon Dexter was at the top of almost every My Fantasy League projection and a recommendation for defensive tackle waivers this week. So yeah, the dude has definitely come onto the scene.
Well, I'm glad I grabbed him in a couple leagues last week then.
Yeah,
sit on his ass, right?
Yeah, you're out in front of the crowd, no doubt.
It used to be the IDP tipster for a reason, brother.
That's true. That's true. All right, good stuff there. That takes us to the first 4:00 game of Sunday, Panthers at Raiders. As it stands right now, the Panthers are +5 at -110. Raiders are -5 at -110. And I believe that line was a little bit higher before we got the announcement that Andy Dalton would be starting for Carolina. That moved the needle a little bit. The over-under is 40 points at -110 either way. Money line right now is Panthers +190, Raiders -230. I don't really care if Andy Dalton's playing or not. I'm taking Raiders money line. Andy Dalton may keep this close. The Panthers are doing legitimately insane things, like sabotaging the development of their franchise quarterback to try and get a meaningless win in September. We know they aren't going anywhere, so why start Andy Dalton? That's legitimately from my notes right there. So I'm sure they'll be more competitive with a veteran quarterback under center, and they very could likely they could cover the spread, right? That's a legit possibility. They could cover the spread. But money line wise, the Raiders are a much better team, and they're at home, and they're coming off a huge win against the Ravens, and they want to keep that going. So I'm going to take it money line. I know it's a crappy price, but parlay round robin, and you'll be fine. What do you got for this one?
The only thing I'd even think about touching personally is Max Crosby sack. I mean, the given, and you're probably not looking at a big payout, but could be a part of a parlay pick along with a couple of the other studs. So I'm not messing with this one. I didn't see anything across the board, and there's too many questions in my head to even consider stretching anything. So I'm just going to avoid it.
Yep. I got you. And it's a whole new setup. We got Andy Dalton back there now. Who knows what that's going to look like, right? So we'll see. Alrighty. Next 4 o'clock game on Sunday is Dolphins at Seahawks. So right now the Dolphins are getting 4.5 points at -112. Seahawks are giving 4.5 points at -108. Over under is 41.5 points at -108 either way. Money line is Dolphins +164, Seahawks -198. And I'm gonna take Seahawks money line. So the Dolphins rush defense has let up 108 yards against Buffalo and 128 against Jacksonville. We know that Seattle loves to establish the run and then take shots downfield to DK Metcalf or Jackson Smith and Jigba. Plus, the real advantage here is Skylar Thompson is now under center for Miami against a fairly decent Seattle defense. Skylar Thompson, the last time we saw him play any meaningful games was in 2022 during a 3-game stretch as a starter. Once again, when Tua was concussed and unavailable, right? So during those games, he only threw 2 touchdown passes across 3 entire games. He had 3 interceptions. He was sacked 6 times. He is not Tua, right? It stinks, but it is what it is. It kills the value of Tyreek Hill, Waddle, Jalen Waddle, all those guys, right? The Miami passing offense, which was the best in the league last year, is now come right back down to earth because Skylar Thompson is under center. So Miami is also on the road. They traditionally don't do very well on the road. It does rain sometimes in Seattle. Miami doesn't do well in weather. This one is very straightforward on paper and a super popular survivor pick this week as well. Seahawks money line.
I'm going to call this a no bet for me. I mean, what do? You take the inside linebackers thinking they're going to run the ball, but, considering the weather, but then Seattle's going to probably dominate the tempo. I don't know. Javon Holland at safety, maybe, for Miami. Look at his tackle props. But overall, I'm not feeling it really. Yeah, you can consider, I don't know how Thibodeau has actually been doing well enough to. Yeah, no, I'm just going to no bet this one, man.
Yeah, I'm with you because it's an unknown, right? We don't know how Skylar Thompson's going to look. It's a wait and see. We'll adjust after. Yep.
I have a feeling it just might be one of those situations where the Seattle defense isn't on the field very much,
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard. You want to float that way, but I don't know. It's tough.
Right. If Miami keeps going 3 and out, then that kind of limits the opportunities there, no doubt. Yep. Alrighty, next 4 o'clock game is divisional game 49ers at Rams. 49ers right now are -6.5 at -112. Rams are getting 6.5 at -108. Over under of 43.5 at -108 either way. Money line is Niners -305, Rams +245. I do not want any part of this. No bet. So it's a division game, which means these guys know each other very well and are not afraid of each other. And even without Cooper Kupp and Pookie Nukie there, the Rams know how to beat the 49ers. They can develop a game plan. They can upset the 49ers this week. They're probably just going to run the living shit out of the ball instead, right? And San Francisco isn't exactly looking great themselves right now. No Deebo Samuel, possibly no Kittle this week. Charvarius Ward didn't practice today. Bosa's dinged up. So not great on either side, right? And anytime we've seen the Niners at less than full strength, we've seen them be exposed by lesser teams and lesser opponents. Right now, this is a lesser opponent and one that knows them well. So I am not touching this. And I think Vegas is crazy with the -305 money line there. This is going to be a lot closer than I think they've got it here. But I'm not touching it. What do you think for this one?
We hit on Byron Young for the Rams, I think, week 1 or in one of the parlays last week. But either way, believe it or not, 49ers actually allow a lot of production off the edge. Got a lot to do with Brock Purdy's tendencies. Byron Young had a sack against him last year. And as a matter of fact, his 2 best graded PFF games that he did have last year, he had 2 of his top 4 games came against the 49ers, and he did get a sack last. So he's getting the opportunities. He's a major cog. Is he a stud? Nah, he's not a stud, but he's a above average player. And in a conference game, I have a confidence here to go ahead and go with Byron Young over a quarter of a sack at a plus 165. That's what I'm shooting for right there. Birdie, I believe, just got done getting sacked like 6 times by the Vikings last game, I think it was, or something. Isn't it something up there really like off? But yeah, he was sacked 6 times this last game against the Vikings, which, without Danielle Hunter, I can't say that they're slouching, but they're not full of super studs, So I don't think that Brian Young is going to have any problem getting over a quarter of a sack at plus 165 when he's already done it in the past, and it's a conference game that he's really going to have to get after the ball.
Yep. I like that. And it's a rare plus money sack prop these days. We'll take it. Absolutely. Alrighty. That takes us to next 4:00 game. Good one. Probably the best game of the week, if we're being honest. Lions at Cardinals. Another indoor game here. Lions are favored -3 at -102. Cardinals are getting 3 at -118. Over under of 51.5 points at -110 either way. That is a massive over under. Vegas thinks that we're in for an air show, and I agree. Money line is Lions -148, Cardinals +124. And I don't really want to touch the game itself. I think it could go either way. Both of these teams look very good. So I'm going to do the kill shot, attempt 3. And once again, I have pulled this off this year, but don't go crazy with this. I usually throw $10 on this each week. And, when it hits for the season, I'm just going to stop making this bet. But, until then, let's keep it going. So Jameson Williams, over 53.5 receiving yards, plus an anytime touchdown, under 3.5 receptions. That freaks out the algorithm enough that it is plus 2168 on Fanduel. So $10 gets you $216 if this happens.
Damn.
And Jameson Williams is one of the few players on the planet that could do this for us.
Yeah, I was excited about the plus 1,300 for the Quinn and Williams prop with the one that we're going to talk about. And then who else did I have? Hey, it's called a progressive moment again. I don't know. We just talked about the dude, though. Anyhow,
Byron Run. Yep.
Yeah. Byron, yeah. I mean, that was just 5 seconds ago, brother. Anyhow, Cardinals safety tackle props, of course, based off of just exactly what you just talked about. I believe even Gary Davenport might have something about Buda Baker in there, but I got to be honest, if I'm looking for some plus numbers, Jalen Thomason hasn't really done anything this year. And if I'm going to throw a dart, this matchup is good enough that I'm going to go for that bigger plus money, probably on him, to see what those tackle props look like. And then you can always, it's almost like we can also depend on Hutcherson to live up to his matchups. And this is a top 3 against Arizona at the moment.
Yep. Yeah, good call on Jalen Thompson. He has not had a real opportunity to produce yet. Week 1 against the Bills don't pass the ball anymore. A lot of people haven't figured that out yet, and they're crying about their Dalton Kincaid shares and shit like that. The Bills don't pass the ball anymore. They run the ball, and they do it well, and they're 2-0. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So Thompson did not have a great chance in week 1 to produce. The ball was not in his area as much as it needs to be as a safety to get IDP production. And in week 2, they crushed the Rams so completely, he was able to sit through most of the fourth quarter, so we didn't get a full game out of him. So this is the first real opportunity Jalen Thompson has to actually have good production. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and a little bit of background. I guess I shouldn't just think that everybody out there is going to assume that, you know any history about him. Jalen Thomas was a beast last year. Recording tackles. I think he might have either been damn close to Buda Baker or maybe even a little bit more. I think Buda Baker missed a couple of games, but either way, Jalen Thomas is no joke. He'll be in an opportunity, and I like him at plus money.
Yep. Yes, sir. All righty. Good stuff. Before we get into the next one, want a little extra in your fantasy football bankroll? Deposit just $10 with Fanduel and get $50 in bonus bets. It's the perfect boost to kickstart your season. Don't wait. Claim your bonus now at idpplus.com/Fanduel. All righty. That takes us to the next 4 o'clock game, Ravens at Cowboys. This is a big one. A lot of people talking about this one. As it stands right now, it is a pick 'em. Ravens are -1 at -112. Cowboys are +1 at -108. Vegas has no idea. Neither do I. Over under of 48 points, -110 either way. Money line is Ravens -118, Cowboys -102. So I do not want to touch the game itself, although it is a classic Cowboys bounce back win against a mediocre opponent. That this is what they do. They lose in an embarrassing fashion and then win at home the next week against a decent opponent. So I would take Cowboys if I had to, but I'm not officially saying that. Forget I said anything. What I want instead is Derrick Henry over 66.5 rush yards at -114. So the Dallas rush defense is and has been dog shit, right? The Saints ran for 190 yards on them last week. And any time in recent history the opposing team has established the run against Dallas, it goes well for them and it doesn't go well for Dallas. So Baltimore as a team wants to get away from throwing 30 to 40 times a game and get back to their style of football, which is run, play defense, dominate time of possession, limit mistakes, and suffocate the other team, right? That's what they're built for. They're not built to be like last year's Cincinnati Bengals. They're not a finesse team. So also, Derrick Henry got past this number 9 times last season on a one-dimensional Titans team where every single opponent that went up against him last year said, we're going to load the box and shut down Derrick Henry and force Will Levi to beat us, right? That ship has sailed. He's in a different situation now. He's in Baltimore. He's got Lamar, who can take off and run anytime. He's got Mark Andrews. He's got Zay Flowers. He's got Isaiah Likely, right? So opposing defenses are not able to just focus on Derrick Henry, load the box against him as often as they used to, right? It's the best situation he's ever been in. And that's not a huge number, 66.5 rush yards. That is not a huge number at all to get over indoors against a crappy Dallas rush defense, 20th overall right now. And quite frankly, that number should be worse because Cleveland had to abandon the run against Dallas to try and play catch up in week 1. So I think this lines up just about perfectly for this to happen. What do you got for this one?
The only thing across the board that was even interesting, sometimes you come across this where both teams are just, again, mediocre in production or below. So you kind of just avoid that, or that's my red flag. I look for the top 10s, and the only top 10 that I even seen was in Ravens defensive tackle Malabuki.
Justin Matabuike, he changed his name. I can't say it either.
Yeah. That dude. So anyways, it's all based off the fact of Dak and the top 10 matchup on the interior defensive line. He's coming off of a really good warm-up game. I think he got a sack this past game finally. This dude was a beast last year. Again, he didn't probably barely see any preseason. First game back, he didn't do a lot, but in the sack department or tackle for loss department, he's actually been really productive otherwise. I think he's got somewhere in a range of 6 to 8 combined tackles. So the production's there. He's warmed up. I love this top 10 matchup because I love the players involved, because you can depend on Dak to get sacked. And then you can also depend on the Malabuki and he's a stud, man. He's well graded.
Yeah, he got that big contract in the offseason too, after he had no joke, like a what was it, like a 2-month plus stretch of a sack or a half sack every game last season.
For a big, just interior defensive lineman, man, nothing like super. He's an overpowering type dude. You know what I mean? Where you get a little bit of speed out of Chris Jones and such, Buckner or something. I mean, Malabuki, he's just a beast inside there. And out of nowhere, right?
Yeah. That one took us all by surprise, that's for sure. Alrighty, that takes us to the Sunday night game, which is a pretty good one. It is Chiefs at Falcons. Falcons coming off that huge win last week on Monday Night Football, and the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They're always good. Right now, Chiefs are -3.5 at -102. Falcons are +3.5 at -118. Over under of 46.5 points at -110 either way. So Vegas thinks we're getting a shootout. Money line, Chiefs -170, Falcons +142. I like the Chiefs money line. It's actually not a terrible price at -170 there. So yes, Kirk Cousins did look much better last week, but he still has a plant foot issue that limits the kind of formations and the kind of plays that Atlanta can run right now. And against the defense that is as good as what Kansas City is, that's a recipe for disaster, right? And Andy Reid, I have zero concern at all about him being able to scheme up a run game without Isaiah Pacheco. They'll figure it out. They'll piece it together. It's probably not going to be one guy like everyone wants, but they'll make it happen, right? They'll be okay offensively. They'll take care of Atlanta. I agree with Vegas. I think it's going to be close, but ultimately a Kansas City win on the road, money line -170. What do you got for this one?
So I'm going to roll with Chris Jones, interior defensive lineman for the Chiefs, at over a quarter of a sack at +105. I mean, he's a well-graded, highly known stud from the interior defensive line. It just puts pressure after pressure, and plus has the speed to back it up. This guy can actually stand up, be on the outside. It doesn't matter. He's kind of like DeForest Buckner. He could play whatever position he wanted to play in reality. And the way the Falcons are looking, Kirk Cousins a little gimped up. He's not got the mobility. I'm just going to go ahead and secure my parlay pick that I actually made with Jones and Young and Williams. I'm going to secure it with Chris Jones.
Nice. I love that, man. And you're right. I mean, Cousins did look better last week, but he's obviously still, like you said, a little gimpy. He's going to have trouble escaping. And, Chris Jones is a freaking monster. So, and it's plus money. How often do we see Chris Jones sack plus money? Like never. So we'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty, and that takes us to the first Monday night game. We got 2 Monday night games this week. We've had that for a few seasons now. Weird, but true. This one is Jaguars at the Bills. So right now the Jags are getting +5 at -110. Bills are -5 at -110. Over under 45.5 points, -112 either way. Money line is Jags +195, Bills -238. I'm going to take Bills money line. I know it's not a great price, but it is what it is. They are at home against a Jags team that literally cannot pass the ball and has become one-dimensional. The Bills are also one-dimensional right now, but that is by choice. That's the difference, right? The run game is working for them. And we know that Josh Allen can throw it if he needs to, but he doesn't need to right now. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So Jacksonville, however, is the 25th overall pass attack, and everyone is freaking out about Christian Kirk and company, myself included. Trevor Lawrence has only completed 26 passes over 2 entire games with 1 touchdown pass between them. That's not good. Their passing attack has been dead on arrival. The Bills know this. They're going to try and shut down Etienne and force them to rely on a pass offense that is rusty, crappy, whatever you want to call it, right? And against this Bills defense, that's a recipe for disaster, right? Not to mention that Buffalo is currently the 3rd overall points per game offense in the league and one of the very few teams that appears to be firing on all cylinders right now at home against a iffy at best Jaguars team. So on paper, that's a slam dunk. I'll take Bills money line. What do you got for this one?
I might be looking, if I'm looking for some plus money, at interior defensive lineman Ed Oliver for the Bills. Jacksonville is currently a top 5 matchup. For him, it sounds like you would just kind of want to balance the tackle props amongst, I don't know, linebackers and safeties, I would suggest. But I don't know. I'm not confident enough to go there just at the moment without seeing the numbers. Okaloon, he's always a great option, and it sounds like he'll be even a better option, even though he's dropped down to 80% of the snaps the first 2 weeks of the season from being a full-time guy before. He's going to probably be busy this game. Best options I could think of looking at tomorrow.
Yep. No, I hear you. Yeah, Jacksonville's doing some weird shit, and I don't think it's gonna last, right? Like, if you've got something that works, why screw around, right? I think Christian Kirk's gonna be fine. I think Olukun is gonna get back up to 100% of snaps. Like these little experiments they're running are clearly not working, so it's time to go back to what was working for them. So I'm not too worried about it. Good call there, though. And before we get to the second Monday night game, DraftKings is making it easier to win big. Deposit $50 and get $50 in bonus bets. With IDP Plus Insights and DraftKings, you'll be racking up those fantasy points in no time. Grab your bonus at idpplus.com/DraftKings. This offer expires on 10/22. Alrighty, that takes us to the final Monday night game, and that is Commanders at Bengals. Right now, Washington is getting 7 points at -105. Bengals are giving 7 points at -115. Higher over under at 47 points, -108 either way. Money line is Commanders +275, Bengals -345. And I'm not touching this one. No bet. These teams both have plenty of problems, right? If T. Higgins can actually play this week, then I'd probably lean Cincinnati money line, but I'm not going to go out on a limb and actually say that, right? The week 1 choke job against the Patriots is still very fresh in my mind. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think I'll be trusting Cincinnati, quote unquote, anytime soon after that shit. And Washington's clearly not very good either. So I'm just not touching this one. What do you think for this one?
I'm in the same boat with you, brother. I don't think I have any real interest in any props on this game. Just not knowing who upsets who, anyways. But if I was diving deep, the one thing the two teams have in common and what production they do allow, because neither one of them's been very good enough to even really allow a lot of production overall, but it would be focusing on each team's safeties tandem, probably going to be a lot of tackle props there, tackles there, but I don't know if I'm really interested in any of that. That'd be about the best if you wanted to throw a dart. Last game of the week.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, there's better value in other places this week, and with betting, you don't force it. If it feels iffy, you skip it. Absolutely. Yep. All right. Good stuff there. Gary, any announcements or updates for the people?
Just going to let you guys know, if I haven't said it, Gary Davenport's doing a freaking IDP props bets for us on idpplus.com. So make sure you check that out. Not to mention that you're going to be able to find your prop bets and game lines that Johnny brings each week, and then I'm going to throw out my sack props. There's a lot of good online content. I know I talk a lot about our YouTube, but you guys got to check it out. We got a DFS article, and I'm going to suggest you guys just keep coming back and winning with Johnny.
Yeah, let's keep it going. After and week 1 was tough because we don't have any real information. It's all gut feeling. Got obviously better week 2, 100% on the article, 7-4 overall. And as we learn more things, it gets easier and easier. We identify tendencies. We have real data. It's not guesses anymore. So I'm starting to feel pretty comfortable. But yeah, man. Good show. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Good luck in week 3, everyone, and we'll catch you guys for week 4 shortly. Have a good one. Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.